Hello, welcome to the 1990 series. My name is Amanda O'Shea from the Serendipity Experience, and I have with me today my very special friend, Dr. Jack Pransky. Welcome, Jack. How are you doing?
Hey, it's my pleasure. I'm doing great.
I know that you're in Albia in Spain at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Originally from Boston. You're a Boston boy at heart.
Yes, and then from Vermont for many, 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 many years. And then I moved to Florida, and now I'm up in Virginia. So
yeah, Charlottesville, Virginia. So you have been super busy, haven't you? I mean, we first met, it was 2012 when I came along to a Friday evening talk, the first time I ever met you, when you did your extended professional training 1. And I was at the first talk. That was not the talk where I got super interested. That was the year before. Yeah.
Well, the thing is, I remember seeing you in the audience, and I remember seeing that you had a spark about you, and also like a curious mind. And for some reason, I just knew that if you got exposed really deeply to the 3 principles, that you would, I don't know why, I just had a feeling that it would affect you.
Yeah.
And who knew that it was going to change the trajectory of your life?
Yeah. Isn't it incredible? And you get to see that. I mean, you get to see that, Jack. I don't know, probably, is it thousands of people? I mean, it's hundreds of people. There's probably thousands of people that you've worked with now or have been exposed with your books and everything.
Yeah, who knows how many my books touch,
Yeah. And that is true. Thank you because it was life-changing for me. That is what happened. And I went through all the motions. I went through, thinking I'd heard it all, what you had to say. That was the first sort of the know-it-all inside of Amanda that kind of got in the way. And so I see that in other people really, easily. And I challenged this understanding. I challenged it in fear that it was some sort of cult or some sort of whatever, something that and then I challenged it, and all of that challenging is what helped me to see it more. It helped me to see it more. So when I see people, or when I'm working with people, or people come along to my talks or whatever, and they're the challenging ones, I kind of like it.
Yeah, well, that's why I kind of liked it when you did
it. so when people are like, "Oh, I'm sorry for being so difficult," they say to me, I'm like, "No, you're not as difficult as I was." and it wasn't difficult, really. It was just when you see you see something, it's like, well, what you're saying is kind of the opposite to everything maybe I've always believed.
That's true.
There has something. So it has been, I mean, not only has it been sort of what I would call like life-changing for me, but that peace of mind that I know Amanda O'Shea had never experienced.
I'm so happy about that. I really am. It just thrills me. It really does.
And so I remember having a conversation with you, Jack, many times. We spent a lot of time together. I mean, on the courses and all the courses I did, and the Viva events and everywhere. And I still, all your books are always present. Our doctor at the recovery center actually is reading Somebody Should Have Told Us, and all the clients get used to that. And I've created a couple of workshops around what is wisdom and what is thought. And that's been really, really nice. My favorite book is still Modello. Out of all of the books, that was the book that touched me so much, So you've been, obviously your name's been a big part of the sharing that I do, have done at the recovery center and in all the work I've done. And that's what happens. It's like the lineage, I guess, right? Like, I heard it from you, and somebody else hears it from me, and you heard it from Sid, and it's you heard it from Roger Mills. Was it that first link sort of there?
Yes.
Yeah.
We're just ripples in a pond.
And
It's like a never-ending pond because it keeps rippling out. It's really an incredible thing. You
It
know,
is.
how one person at a time hears this, they get touched, they want to share it with others, and then they do share it with others, and other people get touched, and then those people who are touched share it with others, and they get touched, and it's just an incredible thing that it has happened since one person, one man, Sydney Banks, had this monster enlightenment experience, and then just wanted to give it away to others. He didn't expect any money. I mean, he eventually got to the point where he had to live, you know, but he just thought that it would be helpful to humanity. And that's why he started talking to others about it. And look what's happened since. Hundreds of thousands of people around the world now are involved in this, and it's still only the beginning.
I know. I really feel that. I've always felt like, oh, we need to be ready when this hits, you know, when this hits the mainstream. Us guys need to be ready, you know, to kind of carry on the sharing. And so it has been amazing what's happened. You know, it has been for me. I see that for the people that I've worked with. Probably not the thousands, but it's in the hundreds that I've worked with now, and seeing there is no greater gift to watch people see something.
Yes,
You know,
that's true.
and
And,
it's
you know, like it's so amazing to see a life change. And even though it always comes from within them, still, you know, when you have a small part to play in it, you know, just even to open themselves up so that they can see something new, it's very humbling, really, to be there in the presence of somebody changing their life in some cases. It's incredible.
And looking back and sort of, you know, so I can only look back on my own story from within. So I see other people's as the observer, but from my own story within. And I remember you said to me one day, only recently, a couple of years ago, what is it, Amanda, that you really saw? You were trying to, you sent me a question, which was, I was always happy. So it's not like I wasn't happy before.
Yeah, I used to call you like Miss Love.
Yeah, little Miss Love. And I love that, because I love that. What, you know, for me, this is love, you know, the principles described to me love in action.
Yes.
I mean, that is what I see. It's the formless energy of love being experienced in human form. And it's via those three principles that we allow that. So I see it. I'm one of those people that has always, from the very beginning, seen it as one thing. Like, isn't this just one thing? I remember saying that to you the first time. Isn't this just one thing? Like, isn't this love? And I remember you saying, well, it depends what you see love as being, you know, if you're not talking about personal love. And I remember after reading your books, what is a thought and what is wisdom, I always had the idea, oh, I really would love to do a book, what is love?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah. It's a big question, Jack.
What is love? It's a big question. But you actually said it, you know. It's the quality of formless universal mind. It's I hate to use the word God, but you know, God is love, and universal mind I see as God, I see as love. So love is part of the fabric of consciousness that's behind all life. And we get to borrow from that to fall in love with somebody, to be love to other people. It's something that's way beyond who we are, but it's part of who we are. It is who we are. And you know, it's totally amazing to me and extremely humbling that that's the way we would be with everybody if it weren't for thinking other thoughts.
Yeah.
I mean, that really is the most amazing thing to me. We would just be love out there for everybody to see if it weren't for other thoughts.
And that's why your famous quote, which has been a big conversation.
Yeah,
And
yes, yes. That came to me from out of the blue somewhere. Left to my own devices, I never would have come up with that in a million years. So all we are is peace, love, and wisdom, and the power to create the illusion that we're not.
Yeah. It sums it up, right? So beautifully.
It does. The three principles in one sentence.
Yeah. Yeah. And there is something about it's so these non-tangible things like thought and wisdom and love, common sense, any of those things, they're not something that we can hold or define so easily, but we all experience it. You know, we all experience those things. We can all talk about those things.
It's the formless power or energy behind life that allows us to have experience. And whether our experience is of love or whether it's our experience of despair or depression or anger or frustration or worry or any of those things, is all because we are using, quote unquote, using, no, because we're not going out of our way to use it, but we are, the three principles are there. Mind, consciousness, and thought are there, and we are using those powers in a way to create the form of thought that comes into our consciousness, gets sent right through our senses, looks so much like reality that we would swear to it. And that's what we think. We go around thinking that that's what reality is. And it's really just the illusion of our own creation. It's amazing.
It's so clever. Like, it is so clever. And I love the title of your book, Seduced by Consciousness, because it literally is what happens. We are seduced moment to moment to moment.
It's true. We're seduced by our own thinking, and consciousness makes that thinking look absolutely real.
Yeah. And I love the way, like, we don't have to worry about the positive stuff. We don't, you know, when that looks real, that's kind of cool, right? We don't seem to get too caught up on that. We only seem to get caught up on it when it's what we would call more of the negative experience, low level thinking. The thinking
Well, we live in a world of feeling. Our feelings, I think, are the things that are most important to us. They are like, they give us the juice of life, you could say, our feelings. And when we realize that they are only a creation of our own thinking, that means that we're really in charge of the feelings that we have. Now, by that, I don't mean that, like, we don't decide what thoughts come into our heads. We can't decide that. Most of them just pop in. We can't decide what consciousness is going to pick up, because it's going to pick up anything that we think. But we decide really what our relationship is to what pops into our head. Yeah. So it's we're always in relationship to our thinking with other thinking. And it's that decides for us the quality of life that we live in, the quality of feelings that we have. Like, for example, if we get a thought of anger toward someone, we are suddenly at a fork in the road in terms of our relationship to that anger. You know, we can blow it off and say, well, you know, that's just crazy thinking I'm having. Or we can take that to heart and call it life, you know. And some people construct a world where they live in anger. And some people get angry thoughts and they know that they're not reality. They may, you know, they may give a temporary feeling, but you see them, they come in, they go out on their own, unless we hold on to them somehow. Little swirling mass of thinking that happens in here and starts a downward spiral in our heads and ends up taking us down like a whirlpool or something.
I think, do you know what, Jack? I think that's the most helpful thing for me, that when I see myself got my knickers in a twist or got myself in a little kerfuffle, I hear again, time after time, thank goodness you know that this is just your creation. I hear that a lot. Thank God I know that I'm the one creating this.
Well, that's beautiful. See, that's a perfect example of another thought that comes in that kind of surrounds the original thought of anger or frustration or something. And that takes the power out of it and gives power to something else. Thank God I know.
Yeah.
And suddenly the anger can't look the same anymore.
Yeah. It really does dissipate. And it's like I still believe that this is the biggest secret in the world of well-being. This is the biggest, I say every day, I feel like I've got the biggest secret in the world of recovery.
Yeah.
No, and it's quite a bold statement to make, but I don't mind being bold, you know, because that's how I see it. If you just get a glimpse, a teeniest glimpse. And for me, it is like, what is it that we're talking about? We're talking about love. We're talking about love in action. We're talking about a description of something that is the closest that we can get to describing love in action. That is just ongoing.
And when we fall back into the formless, like out of our personal thinking and fall back into the formless, you could say, we are falling into the hands of love.
It's lovely.
Because that's who we really are. Who we really are. And it's, you know, it's funny how often in life I don't see that in a moment.
Yeah.
Like if I saw that in every moment, that would be incredible. But of course, we're human beings. We're human beings. We are designed to run into problems of form, you could say. We bump into problems of form.
Yeah.
And I mean, we're the ones that end up calling them problems. They wouldn't necessarily be problems. They would just be something we bump into.
Situations,
circumstances,
yes,
other people who do things to us. You know, we bump into these things, and there's nothing that we can do about those things that happen to us from the outside world. But we are always in relationship to those things that happen to us with our own thinking. We make meaning of it for ourselves. We're the ones who decide to take it seriously or not. That's all us. And that's what we live in. That's really what we live in.
In it, you know, when I sort of ask that question a lot, what is love?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and for me, it's everything, really.
Yeah, you can't really define love. You can't really define it. It's what is. It's what is. I have no idea how the dictionary defines it, but they can't do it justice, I can tell you that.
Funny, in different languages we have different, like I think in the English or American language we only have that one word, but in other languages they have, like, I think, is it Greek, they have like 4 different names for love. So there's family love, personal love, sort of relationship love, intimate love. They have different names, but
Yeah.
we have this word that and maybe it's just the world that I live in now, but it feels like everybody uses that much more freely. It seems like people are really able to express love. And maybe I just, maybe it's the world that I came from before. I didn't see it like that. There's nothing better for me than seeing guys hug each other, or in different cultures, guys sort of on greeting, or people being able to share with pretty much strangers they've not known for very long. They've met and they form this kind of loving relationship in a short time. That's what.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen that in the trainings that I do, where a group of strangers come together. We just finished one of these things. When we went around the opening circle, people were complete strangers.
Yeah.
Very few people knew anybody else in the group. And when we did our closing circle 5 days later, the room was just filled with love. It was like everybody was in love with everybody else.
Yeah.
Because it's the power or quality behind the universe. And when we let go of our other thinking of strangeness or separateness, and everybody's looking in the same inside out direction together, and just drop into a state where everybody's going deeper together, looking in that direction, and the personal thinking just starts to fall away, and what's left is the pure love that really human beings would have for each other if it weren't for that extraneous thinking.
Yeah. And Jack, I think my biggest gratitude to everybody, I want to give my thanks to you for because you were the guy that I heard this from for many years, and so you've been a big part of my world and a big part of my life in the recent 8 years, and I'm truly grateful for that. But it gave me a language. I was always trying to talk about love.
Yeah.
I was on that soul searching, looking for my soulmate, and I used to feel like I had so much love to give, and like nobody wanted it. How it used to feel like you've got this, and really the things that I saw for myself, the things that fell away from myself, the end of that searching and seeking and realizing that life was my soulmate, and realizing that, all of those things. But the language that I then had from doing the trainings that I did with you is what I'm most grateful for. Suddenly the language just was able to flow.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And when I don't know, it's just such I don't even have words for it. There are no words for love anyway.
Yeah. It's a feeling.
But yet, when we borrow from universal love to create personal love, like for another person, for example, and then you see all kinds of problems develop, like in a relationship, you wonder where the love went. And really, it didn't go anywhere. It's just a veil of fog or something that gets superimposed over the love, and we can't see through it anymore unless we realize what our thinking is doing to us. and see through it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm in a relationship right now where I struggled a lot at the beginning because there is almost, we have very, very little in common. And the way we approach life is like from two completely different directions. And yet what my partner said to me was, because she knew that I had a tendency to, if I wasn't totally committed, that I would have a tendency to want an escape door. She's a beautiful listener, and she saw that I had this escape door kind of thinking. And she said, something like, what love it really is it's like you're in a locked room and you slide the key under the door.
Nice.
So you have to deal with what might be some difficult stuff, because it makes you committed. And what has happened to our relationship as a result of that is the love in it has just blossomed. And I feel closer to her than I ever have before. And it's such a beautiful thing when all this thinking about escape or being with other people, or what you're missing out in the rest of life or something, just goes right out the window. And you realize, wow, what I have is so beautiful. I wouldn't want anything else.
Wow. Nice. It's
Such
nice.
a beautiful thing.
Lucky in love.
Yeah, I actually have been. That's a wonderful thing.
Jack, what a lovely conversation. Thank you so much. Thank you for being part of the 1990 series. This is 90 little conversations with 90 fabulous people over 90 days.
It's my pleasure, and I'm honored to be one of the 90.
So lots of love to you, and I'm going to see you later, and we're going to have a weekend at Beaver. So so that's going to be magical. And we've got there'll be a lot of love over the next few days. I'm so looking forward to it. I'll be up there myself in a few hours.
That's for sure. Can't wait to see you.
Mwah. Lots of love to you, and lots of love to everybody who's watching this, wherever you are. Lots of love. Bye.
Bye, everybody.